Both teams have had 5-point leads. Dan Dickau is on the bench with 2 fouls here in the first half. Waves lead at 41-38 now.
Talk how rebounding is going to be important in this game. Gonzaga leads at 16-14 coming out of that timeout.
I think where the momentum started to turn when Pepperdine inserted Glenn McGowan into the game. McGowan hit a couple big shots, a big 3, a couple of rebounds. Here comes Kyle Bankhead. Bankhead, the reserve guard, an outstanding. And we got a travel. Was that on Gord or Violette?
Well, Mark Few cannot believe it, but they call it on Violette. He gets great position on Suet and just turns Suet all the way around. We were blocked out by the officials, so it was tough to see.
There is a huge contingent of Gonzaga fans here. We're at the Jenny Craig Pavilion here in San Diego, the home of the Toreros. Along with Ann Myers, I'm Chris Marlowe. Pepperdine leading by 3, but it's a pro-Gonzaga crowd now. They have a tremendous group that has come down from Spokane. And now the Waves once again lead by 5.
They travel wherever the Zags go.
Violette! And he will shoot too. Some of the athletic ability. If you stand next to Corey Violette, you get an idea how big he is. He is huge.
I think he gets held up top, and there's where they call the foul down below. I think he was mad on the last play also, but it shows you his athletic ability. And Mark Few talked about Corey Violette as far as he's big, but don't take away his athleticism. He's a big athlete, and he's strong, and he proved it right there, what he's capable of doing.
He's a sophomore, 6'8", 255 from Boise, Idaho. Violette with 15 here in the first half as Boomer Brazel comes back. There's a good look. How about that scrape on his neck? Is that unbelievable? That's one of the longest rake jobs of a neck that I have seen. It's a contact sport. Violette has 16 points and 5 rebounds. He is keeping the Zags in while their superstar languishes on the bench with 2 fouls. 43-40. McGowan coming up short, and Violette yanks down another rebound. Here comes Steph underneath the cord. He's hacked, and he'll shoot 2. Wow, that's a hard foul. Whenever these two teams play, a lot of banging going on.
They're hard fouls, but good play by Gonzaga. Quick releases as far as the rebound, bringing the ball up the floor, running the floor. Gord goes right down the center, and Pepperdine just slow to get back on the defensive end. He's wide open. You see the double foul, but good running by Gonzaga as far as seeing the floor, seeing the ball inside.
Fouls on Jimmy Miggins. Here comes Craig Lewis back in. Going out is Colbert. Mentioned Gonzaga's only lost 3 this year to number 2 Illinois early in the season. Marquette, who's having a great season, and Pepperdine. Gord, 1 of 2.
And Mark Few said when they lost to Pepperdine, right after the game, all Dan Dickau did was shoot the ball. He worked on a shot, and that's the kind of dedication he has with the game.
McGowan went right around his man, and he was stripped. And the ball out of bounds. Don't forget the 7-Up halftime report is just ahead. Chris Fowler, Digger Phelps in the studio. Talk about the tournament, which teams will get into the dance, which teams are on the bubble. And Digger's going to talk about the Pac-10. Wow, that might take him all night to figure that thing out. 6 teams are going to get in, it looks like, though. How they'll be seated is going to be another question. McGowan. Corey Violette again. The emergence of a superstar, Corey Violette.
Well, you mentioned Casey Calvary, who's the player of the year last year in the conference. He played behind him.
Hernandez off the glass, and we're tied up at 43.
And when you're going like that against guys in practice, it only helps your game.
Brazel underneath. Miggins couldn't hang on. If Miggins grabs that, he's got a deuce.
Well, Mark Few talked about defensively rotating in this matchup zone against Pepperdine because Pepperdine is very quick, but he feels his guys can really rotate on the defensive end, really help each other out, and they did on that time.
Gonzaga 9 turns, Pepperdine was 7. Final minute of play first half. Tied at 43. Step for 3. Lewis will run it up. He's got Brazel with him on the wing. Lewis pops. Tip. McGowan, yes. And the Waves go ahead by a couple.
Good patience on McGowan's part. Nobody got a body on him, and he just tipped it as the ball was falling out.
McGowan's got 7 off the bench, and he's got another foul.
Lewis comes down on the left side, pulls up for the jumper, almost gets it blocked, and then you see McGowan just comes straight down the middle. Good timing on his part.
So Zach Gord is getting to the free throw line. Gord already has taken 8. He's made 6.
Boy, I mentioned about the free throws against Loyola. In their first game, they were 23 of 29. And last night against San Diego, 19 of 31. They struggled from the free throw line. They got there as San Diego shot 31 free throws also.
Step goes out. Reason is in. You know, as a redshirt freshman, Gord broke his nose. As a sophomore, he had knee surgery. I was looking at that and I was thinking, well, the poor guy, but he dishes it out too. And Miggins comes down with a rebound, and Pepperdine will take a 30-second timeout. So Paul Westphal, former head coach of the Phoenix Suns and Seattle Supersonics, back in the college game, and he is having a year. Tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, it's the Women's Big East Tournament Championship game on ESPN2. That should be a doozy. Number 1, UConn. Yes, you can see the best team in the country take on number 19, Boston College. ESPN and ESPN2, your exclusive home for the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship.
Notre Dame got surprised, ousted out of there. Last year's Women's NCAA champion, but they'll be in the tournament.
Gonzaga, of course, one of the most admired teams in America after that Elite 8 run in '99. You remember some of those players: Matt Santangelo, Richie Fromm from 3, Casey Calvary, Axel Dench, the big center, Mike Nielsen, Ryan Floyd. That got it going. And Mark Few has continued and really taken this program to another level.
Well, he has. And you love his intensity, and he feels that what they've accomplished in the last couple years is just not a fluke.
Final shot. Mike Westphal is in. Pepperdine, Lewis for 3 at the buzzer, no. So Pepperdine got the shot they wanted. It didn't go in. At half, Pepperdine leading Gonzaga 45-44. Let's go to the studio. Chris and Digger. It's a close one out here.
It's what we hoped for, what we expected. Close, high scoring, a little bit nasty. It'll be a good second half, Digger.
Second half's going to come down to this. I think points in the paint been big for the Zags to start this. But in the second half, watch Step as well as Dickau start shooting the threes. They were down last night by 7. Came back in the second half. The threes really burned because of the points in the paint in the first half.
Well, plenty coming up on the 7-Up halftime report in St. Louis at the MVC. They call it Arch Madness. Highlights of that. Plus, we'll look ahead to the Pac-10 tournament in Los Angeles.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week, presented by 7-Up, is brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. This halftime report is presented by 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours.
After 20 minutes, a 1-point game. Neither team able to take command in this rubber match of the automatic bid out of the West Coast Conference. And welcome back to the 7-Up halftime report. In the Missouri Valley Conference, Dana Altman of Creighton says his team is like him. Bland, boring, vanilla.
But win. They can win.
They do win. Twice this year against Southern Illinois. They had the lead, and they blew it. They lost 2 games to the Salukis regular season. All they wanted in this Missouri Valley Conference tournament, another chance at SIU and the automatic bid. Creighton needed this game more. In transition, Creighton, Brody Darren with the transition dunk, and the Blue Jays up by 5. The bench excited, but they would have to protect that lead. It's a 7-point game. Darren, the alley-oop slam. The Jays lead it by 9. Salukis would make a run. Darren Brooks drives, lays it in. Inside of 6 minutes, suddenly it's a 5-point game. But too much Kyle Korver down the stretch. Creighton's player in the lane, hits the shot. Baseline jumper right there. And Creighton, the automatic bid, they avenged 2 regular season losses for the Salukis, 84-76. Terrell Taylor had 20. What about SIU now, Digger? They did beat Indiana. They beat Iowa State.
Well, I love their RPI. It's at 48. They've had a great season. They also lost to Illinois by 3. I think the Missouri Valley Conference gets 2 teams in, and I believe Southern Illinois definitely is going along with Creighton.
In the Metro Atlantic, you definitely had to win to get the automatic bid in Siena, the 7 seed. They'd lost 3 games in a row, well under 500 before this tournament on their home floor. Tommy Mitchell, Dwayne Archbold, and they lead Niagara here, pulling away the lower seed, but Siena clearly the more comfortable team in this final in Albany. Dale Taylor at the jumper, and Siena goes in at 16 and 18, but they were 12 and 18 in the regular season.
What's interesting, their RPI is 232. Winthrop's at 222. And we know the bottom 2 teams in the RPI end up going to Dayton to play the playoff.
I don't think Siena's going to be in that play-on game. I'm going to make a prediction. We're going to get out of that. Colonial, VCU, and UNC Wilmington. Brett Blizzard misses. Anthony Terrell with the follow. UNC Wilmington builds a big lead early second half. They're known as a good defensive team. They had a couple of droughts, and VCU would hang around, but then Blizzard, player of the year in the conference, knocks down the triple. Then Blizzard tips it to Tim Burnett. And Burnett, the easy lay-in, and UNC Wilmington, second NCAA tournament bid as a knockout. VCU, basically a road game. It was played in Richmond in Virginia.
Well, Jerry Wainwright doing a great job. Last year they lost to James Mason, as we recall, 35-33. That was the final last year. They win it this year to back in the NCAA tournament. He's waited a whole year to get back to this night to get it done.
And no repeat of that George Mason debacle in the conference final. So you see the teams that have punched their tickets. Florida Atlantic, a first-timer in the field. You say Winthrop's headed for that play-in game. And a lot of teams from the state of North Carolina. Davidson, UNC Wilmington, we know could Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, Charlotte could go. Everybody but the Tar Heels.
Tar Heels, this is a long struggle for Matt Doherty this year.
When we come back, Bob Knight throws a chair.
No.
You got to stay tuned. Plus, Digger will tell you his sleeper, his pick to win the Pac-10 tournament coming up. And welcome back to the 7-Up halftime report. West Coast Conference Championship game. Dan Dickau, the player of the year in the league, only 2 points, 1 for 5 in the first half, but still the Bulldogs down by only a point to Pepperdine. Well, Bob Knight takes out his frustrations on a chair. Does that sound familiar? Well, there's actually a light moment today at a press conference for Texas Tech in Lubbock. Check it out.
Yeah, and we beat one of them. Yeah, we beat one of them. So all of that's pretty good. And yet... Jesus Christ. The chair's broken. That's the furthest I've thrown a chair in a long time.
Oh, he's ready for the postseason. All right, let's... no comment? We'll just talk Pac-10. All right. Pac-10 tournament should be one of the best. They bring the thing back at the Staples Center in L.A., and what a year it's been in the regular season. Now, you look at these matchups in the quarterfinals of the Pac-10. They don't mess around. You don't get in the top 8. You don't get in the tournament. Teams like Cal and UCLA, 2 tournament-bound teams meeting in the quarters. USC and Stanford, another good first-round matchup.
Well, I really think this conference, when you look at these teams, has the best chance of getting 4 teams to the Sweet 16. They're that good. But what I like is Southern Cal has that rematchup if they both get to the semis against Cal. And the Southern Cal team was in the final 8 last year. So Henry Bibby knows against Oregon. I'm sorry. Oregon and Southern Cal can meet in the semis. That's a payback game from what happened this week when Oregon won by 2 in the last minutes of that game. But when you look at that bracket also, UCLA, I want to see the team that showed up that beat Kansas because that team was really dynamite. They have that kind of potential if Billy Knight and Matt Barnes get it going on the perimeter.
And Oregon, now they won the regular season title, but you don't feel this is the team to beat in this tournament in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, they swept last weekend, and that's big time. They won the conference outright. But to have a rematch against Southern Cal, I don't think that can happen. Arizona's another team, Chris. What I liked is the way they just spanked Cal this weekend, and with Luke Walton playing where you can get triple doubles, whatever he loves to do with assists, rebounds, and points, another solid basketball team, and they have the potential. And when you look at Cal and Stanford, who knows? Cal is a good team. But when we look at the total package of the Pac-10, I really feel that the strength of this conference, how they're going to play in this conference tournament, is going to enable them to get 4 teams to the Sweet 16.
This year, huh?
This year, I think this is the strongest conference to do that.
They've done it before. In fact, no conference has more teams going through to the Sweet 16 in recent years than the Pac-10. Should be a lot of fun. Sports Center with Dave Rebson and Matt Weiner following the game here. It's at 11 o'clock Pacific time. We'll be dancing. More bids on the line, plus Boston versus Philly in hoops and pucks tonight. But the second half from San Diego is coming up next.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week, presented by 7-Up, is brought to you by Quaker State. For the performance you want, Quaker State. Stay tuned.
(45-44), Pepperdine leading Gonzaga at halftime. Chris Marlowe back with Ann Myers. First half stats, and both teams shooting well. Pepperdine particularly from three-point distance.
Well, they are, and that's what's keeping them in the game right now. The rebounding is pretty even. You see 20-17, Gonzaga leads that. Off the bench, Pepperdine's been big, and a lot of that's been the three-point shot. Free throws has been the key, especially from the post players for Gonzaga. They've gotten to the line a lot more than Pepperdine has, but Dan Dickau, only 2 points in this game. He's 1 of 5 with 2 fouls. Look to see if he can get off in the second half. His season low this year is 8 points against Washington.
Yeah, this was his lowest scoring half of the year, just 2 points. So Dickau will be a key.
But the last time they played Pepperdine in the win that Gonzaga had, he was 4 of 12, but he got to the free throw line. He was 14 of 15, so look to see if he tries to get fouled, and if it's not working from the outside, you look for something else.
Blake Stepp had 6 in the first half. Now he's got 8. Gonzaga regains the lead, 46-45. Montgomery with Violette. Yanks down another rebound.
When Violette really stepped up, too, when Dan Dickau went out, he only had 1 more shot regular, but he was 4 of 4 from the free throw line.
We got a double foul, Suet and Violette. Suet and Violette.
Well, both of them looked like they were out of the play.
Double foul. That could be 3 on Suet. That is 3 on Suet. So that's trouble for Pepperdine. He is their defensive presence inside.
Violette picking up his first personal.
Dickau for 3. And over the back is Reason.
There you see in the corner, both players have their arms locked. And Suet is just saying, hey, you know, it's a wrestling move right there.
That's the old do-si-dos. You go back that far? Do-si-do with your mouth left.
Yeah,
all the men left for the old left.
The other way.
7 teams have qualified for the NCAA tournament. Number 8 goes in tonight. The winner of this one gets the automatic bid. Pepperdine waves. Terrence Johnson, the freshman.
Well, Pepperdine would like to win this game only to shut people up, to say, why is there even any question that they're not going to be in the NCAA? I just don't see them as a bubble team. They got to go in.
Gord is doubled. Reason hang. And Reason will shoot 2.
Gonzaga already going. Here's the teams that are going to the NCAA tournament.
The teams that are in.
Number 25, Anthony Reason.
Murray State, Winthrop, Creighton. I had them about a week ago. Kyle Korver and company. And that was a weak-looking free throw for Anthony Reason.
Anthony Reason has not been effective at all in this game. He doesn't score a lot of points. He's the best defensive player that Mark Few has on this team, but...
And that's his first point in this game, man. 47 all. Miggins. Miggins hasn't been much of a factor so far. Another rebound for Corey Violette.
No, both coaches have told us how much that they rely on the versatility of each player, that they're all capable of scoring, but more so Pepperdine. I mean, everybody knows who Dan Dickau is. They know that this kid is going to put a lot of points up on the board, so you key in on him. With Pepperdine, they have such versatility as far as scoring. 5 guys scoring in double figures. You don't know who's going to step up.
Violette has 9 rebounds. Montgomery had a strong first half with 11 points. Miggins Miggins is considered the best all-around player for Pepperdine. He can shoot, he can post, a tremendous defender.
Well, he rebounds it, and the best thing, too, he's got a mid-range jumper. You don't just want to be a three-point shooter or just posting up. You have to have that mid-range jumper to be able to put the ball on the floor. There you see the ball came off the high post from Montgomery, and you see Miggins just taking it to the hoop.
Waves by 2. Devin Montgomery, the junior from Mission Hills, California. High game. He had 26 against Southern Cal in that upset win. Keep in mind, Dickau has 2 fouls. He's got to be careful. Montgomery missed it. Waves just look like they have a little bit more energy right now. Miggins. And Miggins is held.
Well, Montgomery was hot in that first half. He was 3 of 4, but he's got to let the game come to him. He was wide open for the shot. But Pepperdine, being conscious, trying to get the offensive glass, that's where they're aggressive. And that's what Paul Westphal talked about, is being aggressive against this Gonzaga team. Paul
Westphal calls timeout. 17-17 to go in this one. The Pep by 2. Chris Marlowe back with Ann Myers, the West Coast Championship Tournament game. So far, Dan Dickau held to just 2 points. How do you get Dan Dickau off now?
Well, I think you got to isolate him. He's a team player. He leads the team in assists with almost 5 a game, but they've got to start isolating him. Let him get to the free throw line, do some one-on-one stuff, set some good picks for him, but he's struggling with his shot, so he's not going to take his team out of it either. He's going to get everybody involved.
The West Coast Conference Player of the Year. The Zags need him now. 49-47, Pepperdine. Step, collision, Montgomery. There it goes. Dickau's got it. Dickau off his foot, out of bounds. It bounced right off Dickau's foot, out of bounds.
And the Gonzaga bench is all over it. They're pointing the other way, but you see on the run, they could have called a foul right there on Montgomery with the little grab.
He just kicked it out.
And the hard part is Dickau is having a tough night. Now, again, we talked about fatigue. Both these teams and all the players have been involved in their 3rd game, but maybe it's affecting Dickau for whatever reason.
Gonzaga played the early game, albeit it was a tough one against San Diego, but Pepperdine had the late game against St. Mary's. They didn't get out of here until 11 o'clock last night.
And Dan Dickau's had a lot in that first half with those 2 fouls.
Brazel missed it. Miggins. And going to get it, Zach Gord. Gord getting a little elbow work, and Westphal going nutty on the sidelines. Dickau.
Well, there's the isolation. You put the ball in his hands. They don't get the call right there, but he's looking to try and get something.
Zach Gord gets in on the tie-up on the alternating possession. Gonzaga will keep it. Paul Westphal thought Zach Gord was doing some elbowing, and now we've got a technical. We got a technical on Boomer Brazel.
Boomer Brazel, who was so hot in the beginning of the game, he knocked down a couple threes, and then he was out of it. You never saw him again.
So there's Boomer. His mother didn't name him Boomer, in case you're wondering. His mother named him Larry. Somewhere along the way, he picked up the name Boomer. Larry Brazel. So Boomer gets the tech, and Dickau, you never know when this could start Dickau on a run. You got 2 free throws.
He's 2nd in the conference, shooting 88%.
Yeah, one of the great free throwers in the United States.
He gets to the free throw line about 6 times a game. As I mentioned, in the last time they played Pepperdine in their win up in Spokane, he was at the line 15 times.
Zach Gord against Kimball. Can't play off. Step. Pepperdine, a good defensive series. We're tied at 49.
I thought that was a good defensive set by Pepperdine. Then they just make a silly turnover right there, but they made Step penetrate to the basket. But here's before with the technical. He's got the ball in his hand, and he bounces high up. Dave Libby's feeling that Brazel bounced the ball a little too hard.
You think it was the bounce, or was it something he said?
Well, it must have been something, because I didn't think the bounce in itself.
That bounce didn't work.
Well, if it went out of his hands and went up high in the sky, maybe, but he caught it.
I think Larry may have said the magic word. So Pepperdine turns it over. Ragged action, and we're tied at 49. Things heating up. We're tied at 49. If you don't think Pepperdine should be in, win or lose, then you haven't talked to head coach Paul Westphal.
You find the guy that thinks we're not in the tournament, and I'll talk to him and show him who we've played and compare it to the teams. And I guarantee you can't find 60 teams that are ahead of us. I don't think you can find 30. So I'm not worried about the tournament. We just want to beat Gonzaga because we want to be conference champions, and there's no way we're not in the tournament.
Pepperdine's played and beaten UCLA, USC, BYU, and Gonzaga. They've lost to Arizona, Utah, at Oregon, Georgia, UC Santa Barbara, and Irvine.
Well, he was telling us before the game, too, he feels that a lot of times things are based on previous reputation. And, I mean, they were 13-1 in the conference coming in along with Gonzaga, and they won the coin flip to be the #1 seed.
Mike Westphal, the coach's son, is in. Number 25, as you might expect, an outstanding outside shooter. So is that guy, Glenn McGowan, off the bench. You might wonder why he doesn't start. Why doesn't he add?
Well, we talked about it in the first half. He was a starter last year.
Yep.
He missed the beginning of the season because of the fight.
Yep.
But he comes off the bench. He adds that punch. And, you know, you need an explosive player coming off the bench.
Corey Violette had the rebound. Glenn McGowan shoots 34.5% from 3. And he makes it look easy. McGowan with 10.
When you got guys that can put the ball on the floor and create their own shot, just that two little dribble to open himself up.
Look at the bench scoring. Pepperdine has had 9 players score. Dickau. Dickau from distance for 3. Nice hustle by Pepperdine. Bankhead gets it back. Kyle Bankhead, the third guard now. Dickau forces one, and he gets the roll. So Dickau now with 6.
Well, Brad Holland, the San Diego coach, said last night that he had his players guarding him tight, but he keeps going out further and further beyond NBA range. And when do you make the decision to play off him? He's got such great range, and then he has the ability to put the ball on the floor. He can make that shot from there. So then you see Westphal come out, play him tight, and Dickau takes advantage, going to the basket. Nice little pull-up in the jumper. He doesn't go too deep to create where the block can come from.
He doesn't try to finish there. He just pulls up in the lane. He's very good at it. And we got a push. So Bankhead picks up 2 in a row. Now he's got 3. And Pepperdine with the ball and a 1-point lead. Westphal nails it. Mike Westphal, the junior from Bellevue, Washington. Head coach Paul likes that shot.
He played 12 minutes against Portland the other night for his career high 7 points.
Pepperdine on the run, waves by 4. Westphal into Kimball. They double down, and Dickau reaches in, and he's got 3. Third foul on Dickau.
Good ball movement by Pepperdine. There you see the screen to open up Westphal. He knocks it down. And Dickau on the defensive end, he tries to help out, reaches in. He reaches down instead of up. He may have hit all ball, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to call it when you're reaching down.
So Pepperdine with a 4-point lead now. Dickau stays in. Westphal open again. He pops the 3, and he hits again. Mike Westphal nails 2 in a row.
Well, we asked Paul Westphal, you know he's in there. His heart is pounding. He's probably as proud as can be. He didn't think he'd coach his son. He's known lots of fathers that have coached his sons.
Yeah, they've all been bad situations. From distance, Step gets one back. Blake Step from NBA range. Step with 11. 58-54. Pepperdine, wow, Pepperdine shooting unbelievably well.
9 of 17.
And Gonzaga has been cool from the outside. That last one by Step. Westphal again, heat check, no. And Hernandez brings down the rebound, 58-54. Inside, Turiaf battling. Hernandez. And a foul.
Mike Westphal, again, good ball rotation. Thinks he feels it. They knocks it down for the second one. He's 2 of 3 right now.
There he is. He's a junior. One of the reasons Paul Westphal came to Pepperdine, he knew the program. Wasn't going to coach this year, was going to sit out, kind of recontemplate after leaving the Seattle Supersonics. Foul was on Miggins. At the line, Hernandez. Score remains 58-54. Mark Few, his team not shooting well tonight, and that's very unusual for Gonzaga, one of the top shooting teams in the country. McGowan comes up with a rebound. Boy, McGowan gives him a presence inside, doesn't he?
He does, and again, they're the type of players that Paul Westphal said, we got guys that can play 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Montgomery. Devin Montgomery.
Montgomery just seemed to float in there. Watch him create contact, and he just hangs. And as he's falling down, it's almost like slow motion. Of course, we're seeing it slow motion, but even when it happened, it was slow motion as he was bouncing off. With the bank.
He had 11 early, and he's got that one. He's got 14. So Devin Montgomery getting the best of his point guard matchup with Dan Dickau. Once again, the lead is 7. As big as it's been. Turioff. Nice pass, and Hernandez puts it to bed.
Hernandez was huge against the Pepperdine win up when Gonzaga played them. He had 14 points and 5 rebounds. And really, in this second half, I think the Zags have to start taking advantage of their post players again.
Yeah, they're not going inside like they used to. McGowan. Turioff. And right underneath, the ball plops to Miggins. Wow, if that was ever foreshadowing. And the way the ball is bouncing tonight to the Waves so far. Turioff.
Tough shot.
Dickau goes and gets it. Lay it up and in. Someone forgot about Dan Dickau. Now Dickau has 8.
His teammates did a good job screening everybody out for him.
Inside Will Kimball. Looked like there was contact there. And Kimball running back slowly. Violet smartly holds it up. 63-58. And Mark Few calls timeout. It's a full. Well, some wild basketball. Jimmy Miggins, how about this end?
We talked about the ability. He's a scorer. He's athletic. He's a shooter. He's physical. He plays defense. He can jump. And he proved it on the loose ball right there.
So Gonzaga with the timeout. You know, we were talking about that Elite 8 run back in '99, and you might remember it. The Zags got in, knocked off a 7-seed Minnesota. Then they upset number 2 Stanford, squeezed by Florida 73-72, and eventually lost to the champ UConn 67-62. And that really put Gonzaga on the map. Of course, Pepperdine, a couple of years ago, the Waves making history when they knocked out Bobby Knight in Indiana. Bobby Knight's last game as the Hoosier coach. You know, Mike Westphal, he's got a nice outside jump shot, a terrific stroke, just like his dad had as a member of the Boston Celtics, Phoenix Suns. Paul Westphal, tremendous hops, picture perfect jumper. Played at USC back in the early 70s. His Trojan team was 24-2. Their only losses that year to UCLA and the Walton gang. 24-2, and they didn't make the tournament.
They couldn't make the tournament. Second best team, and played with Dana Pageant, and Ron Spoon Riley.
On the spoon from Jordan High School.
Boy, can he jump.
Absolutely. Dickau tries to get the ball to Hernandez and skips it out of bounds. It's been a rough night so far for Dan Dickau, and Pepperdine has taken advantage. (63-58), Pepperdine with the lead. Championship week presented by 7-Up continues with ESPN's exclusive coverage of the Big East Championship presented by ConAgra Foods. See every game in the entire tournament First-round doubleheaders begin Wednesday. Early sessions begin at noon Eastern. Rutgers, Boston College, followed by Providence, Georgetown. Then in the evening session, Villanova and Syracuse. That should be a good one. Then the Hall takes on St. John's. That's starting Wednesday. Chris Marlowe and Ann Myers, the West Coast Conference Tournament final. A packed house here at the Slim Gym. My kind of place, the Jenny Craig Pavilion on the campus of the University of San Diego. Pepperdine has outplayed 6th-ranked Gonzaga so far. Dan Dickau, number 21 with the ball, has been held in check with just 8 points. But he's liable to go off at any time. And he hits the driving layup. So it's 63-60. Dickau now with 10. 8 here in the second half. And Hernandez gets the block. So here come the Zags. Just moved up to 6th in both polls. Blake Step. He gets the runner.
I would rather see, if Pepperdine can think about it, you look at Step and Gonzaga, they love going right. They can go left, but prove that you can beat me on the left side because both penetrations were going right.
The Gonzaga guards have come alive just a bit. They double-team Kimball. Wow. I tell you, they're giving an awful... Well, that was McGowan. Okay, I see it then.
Well, here you see Dan Dickau just really getting the edge on Montgomery, and he does such a great job floating and avoiding the defense. Step does the same thing. You just see the floaters and the control that they have. Now, if Pepperdine wants to defend, try and force them left or try and come underneath in the sense of taking a charge because they like to float, but good control by both guards. And right now, Gonzaga, we said in the beginning of the game, who wins the battle on the boards? Gonzaga is leading 32-26.
So Glenn McGowan at the free throw line. McGowan with 10. Rattles in and out. And it is off a Gonzaga hand, apparently out of bounds. So the Waves perhaps earning a little respect here, Ann. Some question marks around the country about the Pepperdine Waves.
Well, throughout the country, not on the West Coast.
West Coast, people know the Waves have an outstanding team, 22-7. It looks like Gonzaga's really picked up the defense. And a timeout is called. So Gonzaga turning up, cranking up the defensive pressure. Paul Westphal calling timeout. A reminder to follow Bob Knight and the Indiana Hoosiers through a season on the brink. Veteran actor Brian Dennehy stars in the ESPN original movie. Premieres Sunday at 8 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN2, following the men's selection special. Part of the block on ESPN. Parental discretion is advised.
This is a good timeout by Paul Westphal. Obviously the pressure, recognizing that Gonzaga is picking things up. And again, being a pro coach, he recognizes situational opportunities offensively and defensively, doesn't panic, just very calmly calling timeout, getting his kids back together.
Pepperdine Waves, located in Malibu, California. Paul Westphal telling us, say, recruiting's not that hard out there. What do you say? It's a no-brainer. He's got guys coming in from everywhere.
Hey, basketball's basketball.
63-62. Jimmy Miggins isolated. Miggins, and he gets it. Miggins against Hernandez. Looks like a mismatch.
Well, Miggins wants the ball. He's the leading scorer on this team. He feels he can take control, and he has the ability to get mismatches. Hernandez at 6'4", as Miggins is 6'6", and just that double 2 inches. But Miggins felt he got fouled on the play too. He was mad about that, but he made the basket.
Well, Miggins has got 10.
But again, you know, we're looking to see Dickau really take over this game. But what really kept Gonzaga in the first half were their post players. Gord.
Dickau for 3. He got it. Dan Dickau loosening up. Watch out. He's got 13.
But you don't need the big guys if you got the Dickau hitting from the outside.
So the crowd, dominated by Gonzaga supporters, comes alive. 65 all with just over 9 minutes to play. McGowan, he's a tough matchup for Turioff. Turioff blocks his shot. Here comes Dickau. Zags can go back on top. Dickau pumps, throws it up and in. Dickau now 13 in the second half. Montgomery picks up
foul.
Where he just is so good at getting himself open. He hides behind, underneath, just slips wide open in the corner. Pepperdine doesn't have a clue where he is on the floor. Somebody's got to know. And then he double clutches right there and finishes the shot. He's thinking about passing. He's going to take the shot and knock it down and even look for the foul.
And keep in mind, he got his first points of the half on the technical of Boomer Brazel. He got 2 free throws to go to the line and get his stroke a little bit. Since then, he has been on fire. Montgomery at the line. Montgomery, a good free throw shooter, 76%. There he is. Paul Westphal telling us at the start of the year he had to choose who would be his point guard. Would it be Gary Colbert, Micah McKinney, a returner, or Devin Montgomery? He said, I chose Montgomery. He seemed like the best guy at the time. And he's ridden it. 67 all. Montgomery was 16. Turiaf wants it in that low block. They don't give it to him. Step. Wide open is Cord, the runner. Nice rebound by Sewick. So Cedric Sewick back in. Sewick playing with 3 fouls. Miggins now against Cord.
Even this is a mismatch. Johnson wants the ball.
Yeah, but to get 5,
against...
you got to get him down in the post area. Johnson and the tip. Brazel over the back. So Boomer Brazel over the top. And that's Brazel's 4th.
Brazel has not been able to get really into this game. Beginning, he was hot, then he got the fouls, and he's just got to play smart basketball now.
Brazel, in case you're wondering, has 8. Tied at 67. Montgomery shadowing Dickau now. Step! Nails it! Blake Step.
Terrence Johnson just kind of looking up saying, hey, I had a hand in his face.
The guards for Gonzaga had 8 points in the first half. Step now has 16. Dickau has gone off. Montgomery pulls the trigger. Devin Montgomery answers back. Just over 7 minutes to play. The Zags by 1. Foul underneath. Well, Pepperdine starting to get in foul trouble. That's 4 on Sewick.
Again, we mentioned in the first half how these teams go to the free throw line. Gonzaga more so in the first half than Pepperdine did. Pepperdine stayed in it with their 3-point shooting, but Gonzaga just works it inside, and it really makes it difficult when you've got the guards stepping up now and knocking down those shots. It'll open things up inside.
Zach Gore is 7 of 10. I'll venture to say he's never had a free throw or an outside shot that didn't hit part of the rim. He makes that one. Foul trouble. Pepperdine in trouble now. Brazel and Sewick with 4. Montgomery with 3. Dickau, Step, Violet, Bankhead all with 3. So Zach Gord, 14 points. Made 8 of 11. That's good for him. See if he can get a swish out of it. Nope. Off the back iron. Over to Dickau. He's got it. Dan Dickau is on fire. He's got 18 now. And the Zags increase their lead to 5.
The thing that was so impressive about him at shoot-around today, again, he's so unassuming, but after practice, he stayed and just was knocking shots down in the corner. I think he only missed 1 out of about 25 that he shot. They also did a thing at half-court where they were shooting. He hit both half-court shots.
Gonzaga's got the momentum now. In the first half, it was all Corey Violet and Zach Gord. Violet for 3. Not the shot they wanted. Here comes Montgomery. Zags by 5. Montgomery. Oh, that should have been a foul. Had to be a block on Violet. No call. And they're letting him play now.
Well, any kind of reach in.
That was a hugging foul, and a hugger. Foul on McGowan.
But here's the miss, the kick out. And how quick a release Dickau has. One of the best shooters in the country. And there you see Violet sliding over. There's contact. Well, they don't call it. They miss it. They don't call it. You keep playing, but they call the reach around.
So Blake Stepp, an outstanding free throw shooter at 80%. Knee surgery last spring. Coach says he's still not 100%. Nice rebound by Gord. Gord is going up, and he drops it in. Zach Gord. And now Gonzaga expanding its lead to 7. Waves need a hoop here. Got to remain in contact. They'll take it to Miggins against Stepp. He's doubled. Montgomery for 3. Good! Devin Montgomery. He shoots 50% from 3.
Reason was all over him. Just a quick, high shot by Montgomery. But Pepperdine, I think, they've got to try and take advantage and continue to back down and then kick the ball back out.
Right back at you. Dickau hits. Dan Dickau. Dickau with 21. 19 in the second half.
And a turnover by Pepperdine.
The Gonzaga crowd is energized. 5:27 to go. And the Zags are up by 7.
ESPN's presentation of Championship Week is presented by 7-Up, your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours. And in part by Harley-Davidson Motor Company. The legend rolls on.
That was in the start of the second half.
79-72. Number 6 Gonzaga, just 5 minutes and 27 seconds away from another automatic berth. And Dan Dickau has really got things going, Ann.
Well, when you know what kind of scorer you are, and he's not just a scorer, he's a shooter. He can score from everywhere on the floor, but then the quick release off the shot from three-point range, and he has brought this Gonzaga team into the lead. He scored 17 of the team's last 24 points, and it's not been selfishly outside the team.
And he has it going. There is Heather, Dan Dickau's fiancée. He's living the good life, the fat life, as my father used to say. Dan Dickau! Two points in the first half.
Jimmy Miggins and the Pepperdine team not really getting ready defensively. You see the switch? Miggins coming out to help out. You just cannot foul on the three-point shot, especially against somebody like Dickau. Dickau says, hey, don't help me up. I'll get up myself. Make this 4.
Gonzaga has taken it to another level. An NCAA playoff level. 83-72. Zags now by 11, their biggest lead.
Well, we mentioned how Dickau had 8 points, probably career low against Washington this year, but he also had a career-high 39 points against Portland.
Championship week presented by 7-Up. The final game of the night. We're in San Diego, California. I'm Chris Marlowe, my partner, Hall of Famer Ann Myers. Pepperdine and Gonzaga split the first 2 meetings. Whoever wins here tonight gets the automatic berth. Devin Montgomery has had an outstanding game for Pepperdine. The junior from Mission Hills has 22 points. Violet goes out. He was a key in the first half. The key here in the second half, though, has been Dan Dickau.
Well, it's so amazing about this Gonzaga team. In conference, they are #1 in field goal percentage and three-point percentage. So, as well as they shoot the ball from the threes, I mean, they are knocking shots down, and also #1 in field goal percentage defensively.
5 minutes to play, and Gonzaga leading by 10. Blake Stepp! Whoa!
Well, the coaches over at Pepperdine are looking at each other and saying, hey, we're playing defense. They just keep stepping further and further away from the three-point line.
They are the 2 best outside shooting guards in America. I think we can say that.
Well, how deep do you want to go?
Well, they can go as deep as you want. That was a 25-footer. Miggins, Pepperdine flustered. Montgomery.
And the boards.
Pepperdine wearing down now. The Zags are up by 13.
And with the stretch of all that scoring and off some missed shots, Gonzaga has hit the boards. There you see Blake Stepp. He is so far back. And I looked over at the Pepperdine bench, and Jim Nielsen, assistant coach with Paul Westphal, just looked at each other and both shaking their heads. What else can you do?
Gonzaga with 7 3-pointers here in the second half. 86-73. We talked with Gonzaga coach Mark Few about Dickau earlier. He was raving about his kid.
To me, he's the epitome of college basketball. He's what college basketball should be all about. He's worked so hard at the game that's the reason why he's successful, yet he's so humble with all this success and so grounded and a great student athlete and just, you know, wonderful to coach. He listens. He does whatever you want. He's a wonderful teammate. He, to me, is what college basketball is all about. And I have been very blessed to be able to coach him and then to count him as a friend now as we move into the next phase of our lives after he's done. But hopefully we still got a lot left with coach-player relationship.
Dan Dickau grew up idolizing John Stockton in the Vancouver area, collected trading cards of Stockton, wore Stockton's number in high school and at Washington before he came to Spokane.
Well, but his first 2 years, he went to Washington, and he really was a big fish. I should say a little fish in a big sea, per se, because he wasn't getting the opportunity for him to play like he wanted to. He went to Gonzaga, and as Mark Few said, it was an environment where he felt a lot more comfortable. It was more family-like.
Of course, Gonzaga and Stockton go hand in hand. Stockton, one of the greatest players ever at Gonzaga.
And he's the only player to wear number 12.
Yep, they don't give that number out anymore. Pushing foul underneath as Lewis misses. So Pepperdine brings in their shooter, Craig Lewis. Also in Montgomery and Westphal, along with Suet and Miggins, the 5 on the floor. So Pepperdine down by 16 to make that 13.
As quick as it happened, it had to do with the tempo. Gonzaga was getting the rebounds, and we talked about that. It didn't seem like it was that big of a difference in the first half and in the beginning of the second half. And all of a sudden, with the rebounding, missed shots by Pepperdine, you've got Dickau just taking off. He took control, and it's not just the way they scored, it's how quickly they scored.
Let me get the score right, Ann. Gonzaga up by 13. Does that satisfy you? All right.
I knew your math wasn't good.
Can Pepperdine come
They're
back?
up double figures.
Never claimed to be a math major. 3:53 to play. Gonzaga looking to become the 8th team to get into the big dance. Dickau again. No, shot blocked. I think Suet got a piece of it. 88-75 Gonzaga. Montgomery being hounded now by Dickau. Nice move by Miggins. Jimmy Miggins. He averages 15. And Miggins trying to rally Pepperdine. Miggins with 12.
Pepperdine is going to have to get some big defensive stops. And the one thing you love about Dickau, too, he's in constant motion. Reminds me of a John Havlicek. You never know where he is on the floor. He's always ready to receive the ball, too.
Yeah, well-designed offense by Mark Few and his assistants, because he never goes to the same place. They have 50, 75 different entry points with different things that they can do, different sets. Step! And it will be Pepperdine ball. 2:55 to play. Gonzaga by 11. Pepperdine needs more of this. They need more Miggins, and they need it in a hurry.
So the bun cake was bad.
The bun cake was abysmal, but you're missing the point of the story. The entire staff has food poisoning, leaving packages to be shipped, deadlines to be met, and one sales manager to do it all.
Just one?
One.
And now the bun
He
cake.
had the Danish. Stay with me. He jumps on FedEx.com. He's shipping, he's tracking, getting confirmations on his cell phone, his pagers, PDA.
He's got a PDA?
Everybody's got a PDA. Nevertheless, packages arrive. He triumphs over adversity.
I don't have PDA.
Check, please.
6th-ranked Gonzaga getting closer to another automatic berth. They lead by 11. SportsCenter is coming up next. Who's going to be in the tournament? Well, we have some answers for that. Boston and Philly in hoops and puck. And the Blazers on a hot streak. Did they win their 10th in a row? We'll find out. SportsCenter coming up next. Chris Marlowe and Ann Myers. What a second half this has been for Mark Few's Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Well, it really has. There you see the front court scoring in the first half compared to the back court, and then back court scoring 40 points for Gonzaga. They are 77 of 14 from three-point range in this second half, and they are 5 of 13 now for Pepperdine.
Mike Westphal hits his third three-pointer. So the coach's son has been perfect off the bench, 88-80.
Gonzaga leading on the boards, 41-32.
We said that rebounding would be a factor. Less than 2.5 to play. Pepperdine needs stops now. Can't trade baskets with Gonzaga. The lead is 8.
Gonzaga looking to work the clock because they know they've got shooters that can shoot from a distance.
Dickau almost went backcourt. Dickau with a runner, missed it. Air ball. Here comes Miggins. Still a chance for Pepperdine. Lewis pulls the trigger for 3. No. It was blocked by Anthony Reason. Right in front of us, Reason got his pinky on it.
Well, they know they got to score quick, but again, 1-on-4 situation. Maybe wait for a couple other guys to come down and help you out a little bit.
Dickau and Step, 2 brilliant free throwers, 88% and 82%. Controlling the action out top. You can't foul them.
And Pepperdine staying in that zone, though. They come out in the man-to-man.
10 seconds to go on the clock.
Westphal knocked it away.
Dickau maybe going up. High arch. Oh! Dan Dickau! Oh! His 27th point.
Suet leads the conference in block shots with 82. Not this time.
Dan Dickau. This is Johnny Egan over Wilt Chamberlain, God rest his soul.
Marcus Haynes with the dribbles. A look at the high arch over Suet at 6'11". And he's going for the block shot, but boy, that was in the rafters.
90-80. After scoring 2 in the first half, Dickau has gone off 25 here in the second half.
Well, the talk was, too, about Gonzaga, where they're going to be seated in the tournament. They're number 6. And when you got a player like Dan Dickau showing the country what he's capable of doing.
Officially, Corey Violette has fouled out. So Violette, after a big first half, I believe he had all 16 points in the first half. He finishes with 12 rebounds.
He was on the bench a lot in the second half with foul trouble, and that double foul really hurt him.
Montgomery. Boy, Devin Montgomery has had a tremendous game. Violette. He is a man, a sophomore out of Boise, Idaho.
And Mark Few feels he's underrated.
90-81. You look at Montgomery on the year, he averages 11. He's got 23, soon to be 24. Wade still not out of it. Still a chance. Down by 8. 1:23 to play.
Look at how good he is getting himself open.
Nearly stole the ball. And Gonzaga is going to talk about it. They call a quick timeout. So good pressure by Pepperdine. And Mark Few joined the Bulldogs as a graduate assistant to former head man Dan Fitzgerald back in 1989. You look at the tournament resume, 28-3, 13-1. RPI is now up to 22. They're on a 13-game win streak. And all the questions are about how high Gonzaga will be seated.
You had asked him about, before the game, where he would like to be seated.
Well, I've seen anywhere from a 2, 3, or a 4. Digger Phelps mentioned the other night, hey, Gonzaga could be factored in as a 1. Mark Few told me tonight right before the game, he said, I'd be happy with a 1, 2, or 3. I don't think they're going to get a 1. I don't think there's any chance of that.
No.
But a 2 or a 3 is
Most
doable.
Definitely. Most definitely.
Definitely doable. 90-82 is our score.
Paul Westphal saying it's a full court trap. There's going to be some contact. He throws the water bottle down. Not happy with the call.
ESPN.com reporting today, they had Gonzaga as a 3. They also had Pepperdine in the tournament as an 11 seed.
Out in the East.
Out in the East. They put Gonzaga in the West.
And Mark Few talked about saying staying in the West. He felt that his team should stay in the West.
Top seeds according to
Dickau with the miss.
ESPN.com, Maryland, Kansas, Duke, and Oklahoma. But if Oklahoma should stumble, who knows who could move up? Maybe Cincy. So Dickau, he's got 28. 28, folks. Minute 19 to go, 91-82. Pepperdine, one last gap. They need a 3. Miggins pops. Suet. And that's off a Gonzaga hand. Pepperdine will have it. ESPN post-game coverage. We'll cover the press conference. If it's Mark Few, you'll hear him. If Pepperdine turns it around, you'll hear Paul Westphal. West Coast Conference Tournament winding down. Montgomery. They count that one. See if they give him the basket. No basket. No basket, says Milt Stowe.
Good penetration by Montgomery, and you're seeing that good pressure defense by Gonzaga. They don't want to give up the 3. They give up the layup. Here's the push. Contact. Could have been
24 points for Devin Montgomery.
Knocked down some big threes in the first half.
He's one off his career high. Coming back in is Kyle Bankhead. Bankhead, an outstanding free throw shooter. That's why he's coming in. And Gord goes out. So Devin Montgomery had... Nope, he missed it. Nice rebound to Miggins. And Pepperdine will keep it. 91-83. We've seen crazier things happen.
Well, there's plenty of time left.
Watch for Craig Lewis, number 11. He's the three-point bomber if he can get loose.
Well, Pepperdine beat USC on a last-second three-point shot.
There's Lewis. He goes to the glass and gets 2. Here come the Waves. They're not dead yet. 91-85. 2 possessions here, and the Waves nearly had another one. You wonder if Pepperdine maybe should have been using its full-court press a little earlier in this game.
Well, again, I think Paul Westphal knows when to go into this kind of situation.
Bankhead and Bankhead.
If you go too soon,
yeah.
Again, the fatigue factor, how tired you are, you don't want to start fouling too soon.
So with 50 seconds and change, Kyle Bankhead will shoot a couple. Both teams in the double bonus. Bankhead a 77%er. First free throw tonight. Dan Dickau and Mark Few linked for the last couple of years. And what success Gonzaga has had. 26-7 last year. This year 28-3. And about ready to go back as a high seed this time. Be a little different story. Here comes Montgomery. And Montgomery's fouled outside. Wow, they're having trouble keeping up. And that's got to concern Mark Few. You don't want
well, sure, it's a
foul
tough call
in that
for
situation.
Gonzaga, no question. And you look at the situation that happened earlier when Montgomery was going down and saw the post player where there was a lot of contact and there was no call, but here there's a call. But the advantage is for Pepperdine, it stops the clock, gives them time to set back up. Montgomery's been strong at the free throw line.
Montgomery 8 of 10 at the line. He's tied his career high with 26. And now he's got 27. So a new career high for Devin Montgomery. A spectacular game, 92-87. And what do we got here? What's going on?
Well, Miggins, I think there was contact in the beginning. That time, I think Dickau just kind of went down when there was contact.
And let's see how Dave Libby handles this.
I don't think that there was much contact when Dickau just went down. The first one, there was a foul.
Well, Dave Libby, Mark Reisling, and Milt Stoll. Chris Fowler said, hey, it's getting a little nasty.
The arms are connected. The arms are connected. And then you see the little push there. Yeah. Dickau gets up. They start talking to each other. now you come right here. There's not much.
I'll tell you what. Call Lee Strasburg. No. Call Lee Strasburg and the acting studio.
But Dickau knows how to play it, and he's got his fans behind him, and Paul Westphal saw exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and Paul Westphal's right.
So maybe there was a foul in the beginning.
First one was a takedown, and second one was a flop.
Well, you know, we saw earlier where Violet and Suet got their arms connected. Now, maybe, you know, players are smart. They know how to get their arms connected and use that, and it is a wrestling move. You hold it tight, you hold a player tight, and then you release long. And then you get called or look like the defensive player is pushing you down.
Well, Dickau, an 88% free throw shooter.
There they are on the left side. You see the arms are connected, and then all of a sudden they clinch, and I think there's a little shove by Miggins.
A little bit. That's a foul. Dickau makes 1 out of 2, and now let's go back to the flop.
But then, is it the words right here? And then, oh, now hit him in the head.
Hey, Chuck Norris couldn't have done any better.
I don't think Dan Dickau knew they had such a close-up on it.
93-87. Time winding down. Dan Dickau with 29 points. 27 here in the second half. Got a foul, don't you?
Got a foul. Not much time left. And the coaches for Pepperdine are saying, come on, you got a foul. Well, now there's too much time running down, but
I'll tell you what.
He's talking to Paul
20 seconds.
Talking to his players. What's going on? You got a foul. Stop the clock. They probably don't want to put Dan Dickau down on the free throw line, but look at the time.
Yeah.
31 seconds, and it's down to 23.
In this situation, you got to foul the first man in. You can't be looking for a poor free throw shooter.
No. Because
there aren't really any out there.
Paul Westphal the whole time is, come on, guys. But
I tell you what, Gonzaga has had some problems at the line.
Dickau and Step have missed some free throws.
Gonzaga at the line, let's take the total, just 21 of 33. This is a team that shoots 73% on the year.
Well,
Step.
They were 19 of 31 last night against San Diego.
94-87, Montgomery and Turioff. And that could just about do it for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. So Gonzaga looks like it's going to win its 29th game against 3 losses. Mark Few is going to get a high seed. Will it be a 2, a 3, or a 4? That remains to be seen. We think that Pepperdine is also going to get a bid. They had a very impressive run this year. A strong performance in this game.
This will be Gonzaga's 5th title. Last year they lost to Santa Clara. The year before, they beat Pepperdine in overtime.
Corey Violet and the gang getting set for another trip to the NCAA tournament. ESPN News will have our live interviews right after the game before the press conference, so stay with us for that. 15 seconds to go. Devin Montgomery has been the star for Pepperdine. Not quite enough help. Craig Lewis makes a concession 3. The lead is 4 with 6.8 seconds to go. And we've got a timeout. Westphal almost drawing a charge there. Smart play by the kid. And Paul Westphal going to chat with Milt Stowe.
Well, again, that's the second time that Dan Dickau has gotten his arm locked in. And a big shot in the corner by Lewis with the kick out by Montgomery. And Gonzaga taking their time to take it out. They're looking for Dickau. And what, again, Dickau on the left side and Paul Westphal walking out on the floor, talking to the official, frustrated, saying Dickau's got to be doing something to connect my player to him that close.
Mark Few, Bill Greer, Leon Rice, Tommy Lloyd, the coaching staff at Gonzaga. Paul Westphal, Gib Arnold, Jim Nielsen, White King Jones.
I think Dan Dickau's doing an excellent job, though, of getting himself open.
Yeah.
If the officials are not picking up on that body contact, give the credit to Dickau.
If he doesn't make it in the NBA, he's got work on a sitcom coming up. He's got that look. Maybe a WB sitcom. Maybe another original movie for ESPN.
He's a senior this year, but he does. He looks like he's about 15 years old.
Dan Fitzgerald got this program going. He passed the torch to Dan Monson. And Mark Few taking it to another level. Of course, this is the highest that Gonzaga has ever been ranked. 6th in both polls, 94-90. You see Gonzaga with one timeout. Pepperdine is done. A reminder, Sports Center is coming up next. Been a great week here at the West Coast Conference. Pepperdine women winning the West Coast Conference Championship. Mark Track and company heading into the NCAA tournament. Our congratulations to them. And it looks like Gonzaga is heading back to the big dance.
Well, you got to give credit in the second half again. I'm sure Paul Westphal and his team knew that Dan Dickau was going to come out strong and looking to get the ball in his hands. And his team came out a little flat. They just didn't quite have that punch that they had in the first half. They were knocking down some threes. Everybody was contributing. They seemed to get really taken out of it. All of a sudden, you looked around and Gonzaga was up 16, just like that.
A lot of points scored tonight. 94-90. They get the ball into Step, and he hangs on to it. And he'll shoot 2 free throws. Dickau was open, but Step chose to hang on. Blake Step has had a good night. 22 points. So 29 and 22 here in the game for the two Gonzaga guards. That's 51. They had 8 in the first half. So the Waves controlled the Gonzaga guards early.
And they were beating them from everywhere, not just three-point range or in the corner. They had little floaters going down the middle, coming down baseline. Good dribble penetration as far as mid-range jumpers, but it was those threes, the distance that they had on those threes.
Defensive intensity. And Dan Dickau, too much, as Gonzaga wins the West Coast Conference Tournament Championship again. Dan Dickau finishes with 29, Step with 24, Montgomery with 27 for Pepperdine. The final score, Gonzaga wins it 96-90. Coming up next, Sports Center. For Ann Myers, I'm Chris Marlowe. Watch out, world. Gonzaga is back in the NCAA tournament. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
This is Sports Center.
Please RSVP promptly to reserve your seat to the big dance.
Chair's broken. That's the furthest I've thrown a chair in a long time.
We'll throw it to Philly and Beantown as two rival cities jostle for conference supremacy on the ice and on the court.
I don't believe fighting is the answer. At all, I don't. But, you know, sometimes as a man, you have to do what you have to do.
Perhaps some anger management is in order.
Just dial it down another degree.
The hottest team in the NBA faces the best in the West, and if you don't want to make Tiger hot, whatever you do, do not call it a comeback.
Last year, I think I went through 2 confirmed media slumps.
Yeah.
And
Barry's coming back to the Bay, but will that be enough for San Francisco to go the distance? Even government assistance probably can't help the Bulls' defense. Look, if you just play nice, you're sure to be rewarded on Sports Center right now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sports Center, awaiting my NCAA tourney invitation with Dave Redson. I'm Matt Wine, squarely on the bubble. Championship week in full swing. Starts you off with the West Coast Conference title game. Outstanding matchup. Two of the nation's best mid-majors, Pepperdine and number 6 Gonzaga. And where better to hold the battle of heavyweights than at the Jenny Craig Pavilion? How in good conscience do you order a chili cheese dog at the Jenny Craig Pavilion? Bulldogs had won 25-26 coming in. Only loss was to the Waves. First half, Gonzaga up by 2. Corey Violet had 16 in the first half. Zags up by 4. Still in the first, Pepperdine keeping it close behind Devin Montgomery. That's a 3. Waves within 1. Pepperdine led it by 1 at the half. Second half, we are tied at 49. Glenn McGowan for 3 from the corner. Waves up 52-49. Same score after struggling. Just 2 points in the first half. Dan Dickau, great player for Gonzaga, gets the nice roll there. Gets him going. Bulldogs down 1, 52-51. Tied at 65. Dickau, the crazy runner, puts the Zags up by 2. About 7.5 to go, tied at 67. Blake Step, the deep three. Bulldogs up 70-67. 7 minutes to go. Zags up by 2. Zach Gordon, no rebound, though. Tipped around, comes out to Dickau, who calmly drains the 3. Bulldogs up by 5. Less than 5.5 minutes left. Zags by 7. Dickau from deep, and the foul. Bulldogs up by 10. And they hang on to win it by the final of 96-90. Dickau, 27 of his 29 in the second half. Devin Montgomery, career high 27 for Pepperdine. Let's talk about Pepperdine. Can they get in as an at-large? Projected RPI off collegerpi.com, 51. The resume does include wins over UCLA and USC. Their resume also says they have a master's from NYU. Not sure that will matter. Afterwards, Ann Myers caught up with the star of the game, Dan Dickau.
Well, congratulations, a 96-90 win. You were stumped in that first half, had 2 fouls, only 1 field goal, but you knew coming out, second half was to be different. What changed?
Just aggressiveness. They played good, tight defense in the first half, and I just knew I had to look for my spots in the second half, and when I got them, just knock them down.
What makes it so difficult for opponents to guard you? Not just getting the ball, you get it in your hands, but you're just hiding all the way on the floor.
I think it's a lot of things. I think I move without the ball pretty well. I can score with the ball, come off screens, and I think I'm in good enough shape to wear a lot of people down.
Talk about how proud you are of this team as far as the players that you have to play with.
This team is awesome. Every one of these guys has stepped up at one time throughout the year, and we just get along so well. I love playing with these guys.
Well, 4 straight conference tourney championships now for the Zags. Ties them to the longest such streak in Division I. Winthrop's already won its 4th straight Big South crown. Duke begins its quest for its 4th straight ACC tourney title on Friday. If you go back a while, Arizona has a 3-year streak in the Pac-10 tourney, which resumes this year.